Et après, ce sera...
Mais bii rek laay jël bu la neex xaaral ma laaj Mouhamed. On s'assoit donc c'est que moi j'aime pas les speech. J'aime pas être là. Oui, that's something. You are in the front, you have to talk. Yebo, ça va.
I know.
Oui.
It's now 10:08. I think you can end this seriously. Try to end it by because people are already complaining that they have been sitting here for a while and we didn't start because we were downstairs. But try to end it by 11 if you can. So 50-minute talk. Fanta doesn't like to talk long.
Yeah. Fanta said she's gonna
50 is
talk
fine.
like we gave her 1 hour.
She
but
can
she
talk
said
for
it's
30.
long.
She can talk for 30 and they can ask questions for 30.
Okay.
No
but
more than that.
They have all the like Fanta Cassette's speech. She's gonna talk.
Oh my God.
The React is gonna
Oh
talk.
my God.
3 minutes each.
Oh my God.
Yes, I'm telling you.
Keep it short though.
And so then we're gonna skip because
She starts so late. You tell people to show up at 9:30 and then they were sitting here since 9:30. That's crazy. You can't do that.
yeah. So then we're gonna skip the part of like he wanted the institution to like introduce themselves so Fanta knows who's here.
Oh my God.
I hope Maimuna, do you know please be next to me, the password thing? Because it's kept. That's the way we have everything. Fanta, we ready to start? Bill. Okay. Yes. And then I want to keep it. Alors, on va commencer. Fanta, I was waiting for you, but I'm going to start.
Oh, it's fine. Let's go ahead.
Okay.
Sure.
Alors, bonjour tout le monde. On va commencer. Après les... Ah, please. Did she tell you this? Yeah.
Allô, 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 allô.
kii bi ça doit être au milieu comme ça ñaari gis ko.
Allô, allô.
Ah. So, bonjour tout le monde. D'abord, on voudrait s'excuser du retard. On a accusé un peu de retard pour le début de cet événement qui est très spécial. Spécial parce qu'on va parler de l'éducation internationale au Sénégal et aux États-Unis. Et on a une invitée spéciale, Fanta AW, que je voudrais que vous applaudissiez pour elle avant qu'on ne commence. Merci Fanta. Je voulais faire un survey rapidement pour voir est-ce qu'on va faire les conversations en anglais ou en français? Ou bien franglais? Franglais vous va? Ah, c'est parfait donc. So welcome to DUNIS. This is such a special event for us. As I said earlier, Fanta is here. She will be talking to us about international education, specifically NAFSA, because she is the CEO of NAFSA. NAFSA is the Association of International Educators. C'est l'Association des éducateurs internationaux. Alors, nous allons démarrer avec une petite vidéo de DUNIS pour que vous connaissiez au moins l'école, l'université DUNIS. Ça prend juste 5 minutes, Samba, je promets. Et après, Fanta AW, la CEO de DUNIS, va vous... Fanta Kase. We have 2 Fantas today. We have Fanta AW, our special guest. And we have Fanta Kase, the host. She is the CEO of DUNIS. Okay? Donc, on passe à la vidéo rapidement. On a à peu près 1 heure aujourd'hui, 1h20 maximum. Et après les présentations, Fanta AW va faire son keynote. Et si vous avez des questions, et elle va répondre aux questions. D'accord? La vidéo est prête? So, sorry, I didn't introduce myself.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Dr. Korkasal. I'm the academic director of MCIT Senegal at work. I'm a researcher and I'm an educator. I got my PhD from UMass Amherst and then came back to Senegal 3 years ago. So I'm still settling down in Senegal. Merci. Thank you. OK, on regarde la vidéo maintenant.
DUNIS, c'est l'université anglo-saxonne de DUNIS AFRICA, avec l'ambition de positionner les étudiants et nos écoles dans le temps du monde. Le temps du monde est un temps anglo-saxon. C'est pourquoi nous avons créé cette institution à Dakar en 2017 et depuis 2 ans maintenant à Abidjan et cette année au Cameroun. Vous le savez, DUNIS, c'est une école qui porte aussi les valeurs et les engagements de notre communauté, à la fois les valeurs d'excellence, d'innovation et aussi d'exemplarité.
Donc à DUNIS, nous prodiguons des programmes 100% enseignés en anglais depuis 2017. Et à date, nous comptons environ 150 étudiants inscrits dans nos différents programmes, bachelor, de master, donc notamment en business, en computer science, en petroleum geology, en political science, mais également en pre-law et en primaire. Et une cohorte également de Master of Business Administration, communément appelé MBA. Depuis 2017, nous avons transféré environ 120 étudiants dans différentes universités. Les perspectives de DUNIS, c'est développer les programmes, bien sûr, développer le réseau de partenariat et également nous étendre sur l'Afrique de l'Ouest et l'Afrique centrale.
Actuellement, je fais le programme BBA, c'est-à-dire Bachelor of Business Administration, et je compte me spécialiser en finance.
DUNIS is the institute where all the students are given the same chances, so they're offering a lot of courses.
Parmi les partenaires, j'ai choisi 4A's University.
The administration has done a lot to make this school a wonderful environment. It's clean, it's comfortable, it's inviting. We have teachers that are really motivated and committed.
The high standards, the quality of the teaching, and the environment.
And so the student needs to be prepared to come and work. We're very serious. We're very loving and kind, but we are very serious as well.
Personnellement, je suis diplômé d'HEC Paris, donc pour moi le choix n'a pas été simple parce que nous sommes restés longtemps à diviser sur les compétences, parce qu'à Dakar il y a de très bonnes universités, il faut le reconnaître, mais gardons à l'esprit que DUNIS est la meilleure.
The teachers are very good, and even all the corps administration have an excellent way of dealing with students.
Dossier ak lu dul fii rek mais même xale bi bu ñu demee da ngeen ko dem bien sûr di leen assister seen programme ak seen yëpp.
Very important for us to talk to students and parents so they can understand the structure. You can know about what it means to study in DUNIS and how to transfer your credits to Canada. You don't need to spend 4 years anymore, you can spend 2 years now.
The impact of me being here today, I think, is beneficial on both sides. It's important for students to learn about their opportunities, but it's also important for me as someone who works in higher education to meet students from around the world, get their perceptions and their perspectives, and get to know what they're interested in and what they're looking for in a school and what their dreams are.
The partnership between DUNIS and Fort Hays State University is a magnificent opportunity for you to come and study and live in Hays, Kansas, in the United States.
Donc, ils font la première et la deuxième année à Dakar, à Pichon ou Douala, et donc partent la troisième et la quatrième année pour être diplômés de ces universités-là.
I wanted to go study abroad, but I did not really know if I was ready for that. And knowing that they have a partnership with a university in the US, it was easy for me to choose this partnership.
I was looking for a way to come to USA. I found a way to do 2 years in Senegal, and then after came here to complete my bachelor.
I'm a finance student. I was looking for a good business school. Coming here was the best opportunity that I had in my life. This is probably the best experience of my life.
Fort Hays is like home, and honestly, you won't regret it. Every experience might be different, but you will always learn something new.
Dans un continent jeune, un continent où se fait le basculement du monde, un continent d'histoire, de toutes les histoires, mais aussi un continent d'avenir. Et c'est dans ce continent-là que se déploie DUNIS pour apporter le meilleur de l'enseignement anglo-saxon aux jeunes générations.
We are really proud to see what DUNIS is doing. We are proud that Africans are creating their own education system. We are proud to see that Senegal out of that building of Pan-Africanism. So thank you, DUNIS. On va passer la parole à Fanta AW, CEO de DUNIS. Sous vos applaudissements.
Merci, Dr. Korka. Bonjour tout le monde. Je ne vais pas être longue, je sais que sinon Samba va m'en vouloir. Alors, je vais faire très court. Je pense que c'était bien sûr l'occasion, on ne pouvait pas rater l'occasion de vous présenter DUNIS. Et je vais être très très court. Donc, je déteste les speeches pour commencer. Je prépare toujours un speech, mais je n'arrive pas à le suivre. Donc, pardonnez tout ce que je dirai en avance. Donc, je pense qu'il était juste important de vous remercier tous d'être venus quand même. Je pense qu'en une matinée de Ramadan, un jour de semaine, ce n'est pas facile, un vendredi en plus. Donc, merci beaucoup. Mais on a voulu marquer le coup. On a voulu vraiment marquer le coup pour faire savoir à nos collègues sénégalais et africains qu'on a un hôte spécial. Donc, une hôte spéciale en la personne de Dr. Fanta AW, qui est donc la CEO de NAFSA que je ne présenterai certainement pas. Donc, tout le monde ici connaît NAFSA certainement. Donc, je me souviens, j'ai rencontré Dr. AW il y a 2 ans en Afrique du Sud et je lui disais, on a besoin d'une perspective africaine dans International Education. Et je pense qu'aujourd'hui, on y est. On y est parce que tout simplement, la CEO de NAFSA a quand même pris le temps, l'énergie et donc de venir nous voir. Je pense que quand même le Sénégal peut être fier, l'Afrique de l'Ouest peut être fière de dire qu'on compte quand même dans l'environnement de l'éducation internationale. Je le rappelle toujours à mon staff et à mes étudiants, le monde est global. Et il est important que nous, en tant qu'Africains d'abord, en tant qu'Ouest africains, mais en tant qu'Africains qui parlent français, je pense que c'est important qu'on se positionne sur l'international. Et j'ai l'habitude de dire que le monde parle anglais. Et c'est pour ça que nous, dès le début, le président a eu la vision et a fait le choix donc de mettre en place DUNIS et de mettre tous les enseignements à 100% en anglais. Et ce qui est spécial aussi, c'est qu'on a cette exposition internationale. Nos étudiants ont l'obligation, ce n'est pas une option, ce n'est pas un choix. Tout le monde part au bout de la 2e année pour les bachelors, pour les masters au bout de la 2e année également. Donc ils font la première année ici, ils partent la 2e année. C'est un choix. Je le rappelais tout à l'heure quand je discutais avec Steven qui nous vient du Ghana. Depuis 2014, on a un programme de study abroad qui est assez dynamique. On prend nos étudiants ici et on les amène en stage au Ghana pour qu'ils soient dans un environnement anglophone et qu'ils aient l'habitude de travailler dans un environnement international. Donc aujourd'hui, on a la directrice générale de BEM Management. BEM, c'est le groupe s'appelle BEM, mais on a la structure mère qui s'appelle BEM Management également. Elle aura certainement le temps de se présenter. Mais nous, l'internationalisation a toujours été dans notre ADN. Depuis 2008, les étudiants partent en mobilité. Je me souviens quand on avait la grippe aviaire, nos étudiants étaient en quarantaine en Chine. Si vous vous souvenez, c'était en 2015 ou 2016. C'est pour vous dire que l'internationalisation a toujours été au cœur de BM. Donc aujourd'hui, on a voulu aller plus loin en mettant en place DUNIS pour justement donner cette place qu'on a, cette place qui nous est réservée au sein de l'éducation internationale. Et donc NAFSA, je vais finir par ça. DUNIS est très lié à NAFSA. Parce que quand je démarrais ma carrière donc à BM, l'anglais me manquait. Et je disais au président, il faut qu'on ait quelque chose en anglais. Et il m'a dit, mais va chercher. Si on trouve quelque chose de bien, on va y aller. Et mon réflexe a été d'aller sur le forum de NAFSA. Donc, j'ai souscrit en tant que membre, je suis allée sur le forum, je suis allée directement sur le forum Africa SIG, et c'est là où j'ai rencontré mon tout premier partenaire, qui est Fort Hays State University, et c'est de là qu'est parti donc le partenariat 2+2, et c'est de là qu'est parti également donc l'histoire de l'école. Donc, NAFSA, c'est très très spécial à nous, et on est vraiment heureux, honorés de vous avoir. Je pense qu'il est très très important. C'est un signal fort, c'est un message. Je suis sûre que vous ne mesurez même pas l'impact, mais c'est un très 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 grand message que vous renvoyez et on est très très content de vous avoir. Merci beaucoup. Je ne vais pas être longue. Donc on a notre partenaire justement dont je parlais parce qu'on a commencé l'histoire ensemble. Ils ont un petit message de welcome pour vous. Donc ça va être short. Ça va être short. Merci à tous.
Merci Fanta. Alors on regarde la petite vidéo.
Host of Internationalization and Strategic Initiatives at Fort Hays State. And I am so excited to send my greetings to Dr. Fanta AW, CEO of NAFSA, during your special visit at DUNIS Africa. FHSU was DUNIS's very first partner, and we've been honored to build this partnership with them over the last decade and jointly meet our mission of developing engaged global citizen leaders. This year, we have expanded our opportunities to students in West Africa by creating a new degree program opportunity for students to earn a bachelor's degree right there in Dakar. We are bringing an American degree to Africa. This groundbreaking opportunity will offer our students to complete an undergraduate degree in international business and economics. And this initiative connects our students across continents and fosters skills in global commerce and economics while empowering them to become the next generation of global citizen leaders. Dr. Ah, your leadership at NAFSA inspires our collaborations with DUNIS. It really does, and we're grateful for your work in advancing international education, which in these times is more important than ever. This program embodies our shared vision for breaking down borders and building a brighter future for Western African students, and it also provides an opportunity for our domestic students at Fort Hays State University to be exposed to a variety of students, a variety of virtual engagement opportunities, and for those who can't travel to Africa, interacting with some of the African students in class and co-curricular provides them an opportunity to learn about other cultures and interact with the wonderful, wonderful students in Senegal, and also provides great opportunities for them to interact with each other in a variety of ways that help them grow. So we bring the world to FHSU, and we bring FHSU to the world, and this is just another example of that, and I'm super, super excited. And as you visit Dakar, know that Fort Hays State University celebrates your dedication and our growing partnership with DUNIS. Thank you, and here's to shaping tomorrow's global citizen leaders together.
Alors, merci beaucoup. On va faire très rapidement. Avant les keynotes Fanta, peut-être demander encore une fois, est-ce que tout le monde parle français? Est-ce que tout le monde comprend le français? Pour qu'on puisse continuer en français ou en anglais. Je voulais juste qu'on lève la main. So, French or English? English, c'est bon? Non? C'est bon? Oui? Pour tout le monde? Okay, so we're gonna do English now. Okay. So let's do it. We just take a few minutes, okay? Because we would like to not only thank you again for your presence, because as Fanta said, it's Ramadan, it's a Friday morning, and we're taking that time to have you at DUNIS to hear from Fanta AW, who is Dr. Fanta AW, who is such an amazing person. I would like to thank Samba Jen, Dr. Samba Jen. He's at LSU. He's the Director of Global Engagement, SIO actually, Senior? Director, okay, so let's say Director. So, that's what I wanted to say, because Senegalese are building things, I'm telling you, and Samba is part of those who are getting US in Senegal. So we need a special class. He's doing an amazing job in the South, you know, in the US. Institutions get to come to Senegal, to go to schools, to see universities, to meet students. And I think that's such an amazing job that he's doing. Senegal needs to say thank you to Samba. I also just wanted to thank also Dr. Steven. He is from Ghana. He came with Fanta. They were actually before here, they were in Ghana first, and then Ivory Coast, and then they came to Senegal to talk to us about higher education. So I'll pass the mic very quickly, because we have some people from UCAT, some people from Education USA, we have some people from BAM. So if you would like to introduce yourself and tell us what you do, of course, I'm seeing Daos, I'm seeing Bantare, Impact Group. So please introduce yourself in 20 seconds. Otherwise, Samba will be very mad at us. Yes. So let's have this is Fatou Touré Bajai from Education USA.
Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Fatou Touré. I am the Regional Manager for Education USA. It is a US State Department program that supports international education, more specifically to the United States. So very happy to be here and excited to be with the international education community of Dakar.
Thank you. So I'll pass it to the audience first, and then Fatou.
I thought I was introduced.
have forgotten something.
Yeah, okay. I'm Dr. Stephen Apia. Oh.
So that people...
Yeah. Stephen Apia, and of course, as you said, I am Ghanaian, but I also live in the US, and I'm part of a group here. We both work in NASA, in NASA Board of Directors, and we're doing all that we can for that to something about it.
No, so we're gonna give the floor to Sujafo. Yasmin.
Yeah.
Madam Yasmin, you have the floor.
So, hi, thank you for the invitation. Welcome, Fanta. So we are a member from NAFSA members until 2012, and it's an honor to have you in Senegal and to be leading this biggest association of international educators. So yes, so we'll be really happy to hear your speech today. And as well as saying thanks to all the organizations, Samba, who I met as well in 2012, and he's doing a great job as well for to expand U.S. education in Africa and around the world. Thank you.
Your name and position.
Yeah, so I forget to tell my name. So my name is Yasmin Sai. I'm the director at Sutuko. Yeah, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Marie CEO of Ben Management. Thank you, Fanta Kase, for the invitation. It's just amazing receiving you this hour. And I do all my best to be here. And congratulations for the amazing job you are doing every single day. Thank you.
Introduce yourself, please. Vous pouvez le faire en français aussi. Franglais, quoi.
Good morning, everyone. I did not expect to speak. It's an honor to be here to finally meet Dr. Fanta AW in person. My name is Selim Jad, and I've been in the world of study abroad for years, because I founded CIEE in Senegal. That was almost more than 20 years ago, until, and it's a pleasure to meet so many good and old friends here. And now I work with ELI, though I have my little tiny Winnie study abroad organization aside, which I work on. But it's really, really a great pleasure to be here. And to just say that this is, for me, the study abroad world has shaped who I am in terms of seeing all different kinds of worlds and making a difference in the world. DUNIS, I would say that you're doing a great job, and I support you 100%. Thank you for this occasion for us to speak. Thank you all.
So we have 20 seconds, everybody. You did? Yeah. You went over, but that's okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Nadine. I'm actually a professor at BAM, and I've been working with Fanta for a long time. I go back since 2014, and also I know the other Fanta from the United States, Fanta AW, who's also attended several NASA programs in the U.S., and I'm also the former country director of the YES program in Senegal. And I want to also greet colleagues from the U.S. Embassy, because the YES program is funded by the U.S. Embassy. We have here Mr. Adam Ajam. So thank you so much for all the great work that you did. And thank you to Fanta Kase for putting together, and also Samba for putting together this great event. Thank you.
Thank you. You were right on time. Thank you. So we give to...
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm Dr. Alassane Abdoulaye. I'm Assistant Professor of English
at the Virtual University of Senegal, and I'm the chair of the Department of English. My specialty is American Studies and Comparative Literature. It's a great pleasure for us to be here among you, and congratulations.
Thank you. Amazing. Dr. Boja?
Thank you so much. My name is Dr. Mamadou Boja. I'm a political scientist, a former graduate from University of Florida. And I'm also the coordinator of the Fulbright Support Program at WARC, the West Africa Research Center. And I'm very pleased to be here today, but also to learn more about DUNIS, which is an amazing opportunity for Senegalese students and graduates to be able to get into the international education system. And I really enjoy, I'll be enjoying listening to Fanta AW, who I've been following for a long time. And this is the first time that I see you in person. Thank you so much.
Good job.
So hi everyone. So I'm Ismail Ouattara. I'm not from the education background. I'm working for the IFC, International Finance Corporation, so the World Bank subsidiary specializing with private sector. So I was invited because I know we're working on a potential partnership to welcome students from DUNIS in internship.
Thank you so much. Okay, Aisha. Thank you. I'm just asking.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aisha Awaba. I am the founder and the chief executive officer of Bontari Impact Group, which is an international development consultancy, a women-led Africa-powered international development consultancy. I am also an international development instructor. I used to work with ESM and with the MSID program, so the Minnesota International Development Studies program. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Lajana, and I'm a high school counselor at ISD International School of Dakar. And I'm here with my colleagues, and we are helping our students to get their college acceptances across the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Papa Sangone Sen. I'm a B2B customer support officer at the British Council Senegal. As you can see, we have our roll-up banner there. You can, there's a QR code, you can scan it and have all information related to the IELTS. So IELTS is the International English Language Testing System, which you will need to transfer to international universities. So it assesses your level and gives you a certificate. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Professor Salou John, Associate Professor of African Postcolonial Studies and Director of the African Postcolonial Studies Laboratory at Chantilly University. It's a pleasure and honor to be here to learn more about DUNIS international education perspective. Thank you, Korka, for inviting me.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Aisha Gay, Mrs. Job. I'm from the Dakar American University of Science and Technology of Dr. Sidindao. So I'm here today to respond to Dr. Korka's invitation. So that's my first time at DUNIS. And you're doing a great job, and we have so many things in common. That's why I'm here. And I think we need to discuss more and try to do collaboration between DAOs and DUNIS, because we have so many things in common, as I said. I'm also a certified translator. I'm working with Dr. Korka. She was my friend since high school. And I studied abroad. I was in Canada. I spent around 10 years there. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Samba Silla. I'm a senior professor in UCAD. I'm scientist, and I'm also director of an African Center of Excellence working on food security. Thank you. I'm here today to learn
Yeah, thank you so much. You can do Franglish, huh?
Thank you, Korka. Good morning. My name is Nede Bosek. I am a teacher of English and former Fulbrighter from the University of Albany. And yeah, I'm here invited by Korka. Oh, yes, I work at the Ministry of Education. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Adam Adjan. I'm the Emerging Voices Exchanges and Alumni Coordinator at the U.S. Embassy Dakar. Very pleased to be here, and I would like to thank Fanta and her team for the great work that they are doing for the development of international education. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vanessa Arness. I'm the Cultural Affairs Officer at the U.S. Embassy, and we're delighted that our colleagues from Education USA are here today. They help us to share information with Senegalese students about higher education opportunities in the U.S., but I'm also delighted that we have a former Fulbright participant here as well, because the U.S. Embassy offers Fulbright scholarships for scholars and students. And so we're glad that we have Dr. Au and the delegation here today to talk more about opportunities for studying in the United States and collaboration between US and Senegalese schools. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Gamou Tunkara, currently working as Education USA advisor for Senegal and Guinea-Bissau, and I used to be the deputy director for CIEE, working under Serene for almost 10 years. Nice to be here, thank you.
Bonjour tout le monde, je vais briser la barrière. C'est Dr. Amadja Lotal, je suis socio-anthropologue. Enseignante-chercheur vacataire dans les universités sénégalaises, spécialisée en protection sociale, genre. Et merci aussi à Korka de m'avoir invité. Merci à tous.
Bonjour à tout le monde. Moi, je m'appelle Siaka Sadio. Je suis là en tant que représentant, donc directeur général donc, de la SONES, M. Abdounian Empêché. Je voudrais à travers donc, cette tribune remercier Mme Fanta pour cette marque d'intérêt qu'elle accorde à la SONES, la Société nationale donc, des eaux du Sénégal. Et mes hommages également à Mme Fanta AW pour tout ce qu'elle a fait dans l'éducation donc des jeunes. Alors moi vraiment c'est une découverte de DUNIS. Quand nous avons reçu donc cette invitation là, d'abord repérer DUNIS ici ça a été un problème. On connaissait BEM mais on connaissait moins DUNIS. Je pense qu'à travers donc cette rencontre là, ce sera une excellente occasion pour la SONES de nouer des partenariats avec cette institution, notamment dans l'eau. Le Sénégal est un pays sahélien. Nous avons besoin de jeunes qui font des études assez poussées, même si c'est en anglais, hein, mais dans ce domaine-là. On ne manquera pas dans les semaines à venir de nouer un partenariat avec votre institution pour en fait faire bénéficier aux jeunes Sénégalais, aux jeunes qui sont dans cette école-là, donc cette branche très importante donc, du Sénégal. Le Sénégal est un pays qui aspire à se développer donc, en réglant une question très importante, l'équité sociale. Et l'eau fait partie de ces leviers-là. Beaucoup de gens ne mesurent pas l'importance de l'eau parce qu'on est dans nos conforts douillés à Dakar. Mais si vous sortez de Dakar, vous allez à l'intérieur du pays, c'est en ce moment-là que vous allez comprendre les enjeux qui sont autour donc, de l'eau. Vraiment. Voilà. Donc, je voulais juste donc, remercier donc, Mme Kassé pour cette invitation. Merci.
Merci. Je suis Ibrahima Diallo, CEO du Centre Baobab. Et nous sommes spécialisés dans la compréhension interculturelle à travers l'immersion culturelle entre l'Occident et l'Afrique de l'Ouest. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Wow, j'ai respecté les 10 secondes. Et vous? OK. Alors, il faut qu'on fasse rapidement. We need to really hear Dr. Fanta AW. because we are here for that. So he'll be talking about higher education, NAFSA specifically, her association, and the work they do to really make sure that Africa and the US are well connected, and that it's a partnership for Senegal, for Africans, equal partnership, okay? So we're gonna give the floor to our special guest, Dr. Fanta AW. Sous vos applaudissements, s'il vous plaît. One thing I would say, Fanta said she wants this to be a conversation. So she will start with the big picture, but then she's really open to have a conversation on this topic. Dr. Fanta.
Merci beaucoup, vraiment. Merci pour l'accueil chaleureux. Mon homonyme, merci vraiment pour avoir coordonné ça. Ça me touche énormément. Pour moi, venant du Mali, je me retrouve dans mon pays finalement. Hein. Le Sénégal, c'est un pays que je connais bien. J'ai de la famille ici à Dakar. Et la dernière fois que j'étais de passage au Sénégal, malheureusement, c'était en 1992. Donc, imagine le temps qui a passé. Donc, vraiment, ça me fait vraiment plaisir d'être de retour ici. Skorka said, switch back in English. So I'm switching back in English. I will switch back in English for this group. Listen, the reason why I'm here is a very simple reason. I am here really to listen, to hear, and to understand how things are working here in Senegal as it relates to international education exchange. I have spent my entire career, now over 37 years, in the world of international education. I often say I'm the product of international education, like many in this room. So I don't have to convince this audience about the value of international education to many in this room because many of us have been beneficiary of it. So that's one thing. So I'm really here to understand, to listen, and to engage. I think all too often, as we speak of international education exchange, there is this part of it that has to be recognized. It is no longer nice to have. It is actually a necessity. Every country that is looking toward its economic development, that is looking towards social growth, and especially when we think about parts of the world where the youth bulge, as it is the case specifically in Africa, we have an obligation to figure out how do we educate the next generation of leaders. What will it take and what form of education will serve them, not just for tomorrow, but for the decades to come, knowing the challenges that they're confronting. My colleague over here talked about water security. Probably one of our biggest threats globally is water security around the world. Climate change is another one of those. Migration challenges, and certainly in Africa we know too well the challenges and the cost of migration, both in terms of how it stalls the development of our countries, but also more importantly, our young people are often communicating to us that they're looking for opportunities. And in looking for opportunities, they're seeking a better world for themselves and for the generations to come. So we at NAFSA, we are a membership organization. We've been in existence for 76 years. I heard about our colleagues at CIE. I've heard about AL's big partners, Education USA. All of those are critical partners to the work that we do. We're able to do this work because we're able to do this work together. As an organization with over 11,000 members, we're in 170 countries at over 4,500 institutions around the world. So I get to have the benefit of seeing the entire ecosystem of higher education and to be able to compare how are things working in Japan? How is that different from what's taking place in India? How is that different from what's happening in Iraq? And the list goes on. So the ability to have the long view and to have the ecosystem view gives me the opportunity to think about where I see innovations, where I see our common challenges, and where I see more than anything else the opportunities that we have. Part of the main reasons why I'm here in Africa, and I'm really fortunate to have an incredible board. Among our board members are two board members who are here on this trip with me. One is Stephen, who you've heard from, and Samba as well, because all three of us are from the continent, and all three of us are actually from West Africa. That is not by accident, right? And as you look in this room, there's tremendous leadership that has been taking place over the decades. And I think the biggest thing that we can do in this part of the world is to tell the stories of innovations, the stories of opportunities that are taking place, and to let the rest of the world know that no, Africa has not been standing still. Africa has been on the move for decades and decades and decades, and it has a compelling story to tell about the world of international education and what we're able to offer. That, I think, is the number one thing we can do collectively, is to better tell our stories of innovations that are taking place on an everyday basis. You heard the example of DUNIS and how there was a clear vision, and a clear vision that in this world that we're in, it is incredibly important, particularly for those of us who are from Francophone Africa, we have the additional challenge of the language. But I've also said all too often, we cannot use that as an excuse. We have to, in many ways, see that as the opportunity to propel ourselves forward. So this is our opportunity in 2025 to do more of that work that is needed. That's the number one thing. And often I will hear, you know, particularly when I'm in West Africa, I will hear, well, for us in the Francophone country, we have so many barriers. And I have to remind everybody, students from China are in the United States. Students from Japan are in the United States. Students from Brazil are in the United States. And English is not their first language. And they manage to thrive. And the thing about Africans is that we, by culture and by values, are bilingual and multilingual. I was in China many times, and every time I was in China, often, the US counselor would say to me, help me understand, why is it that African students who come to China master Mandarin faster and better than students from anywhere else in the world? And my answer was a simple one. We grew up learning multiple languages, period. So language is not a barrier for us. We have learned to speak multiple languages, given the various ethnic groups that we encounter. And so this is one of the things that I think we can do. It is also the case that international education as a field, like higher education, there are many people who are asking key questions, and I think they're valid questions. Among those questions are, what is the value of higher education today? Okay? They want to know, what is higher education going to lead to? And especially our young people are asking that specific question. How is higher education going to lead me to better social mobility? How is higher education going to lead me to be a better citizen of the world that I'm living in? Those are very important questions that we have an obligation in higher education to respond to. So there are lots of different opportunities that come to mind for us. For us at NAFSA, our task is a simple one, and that is to connect the world. We want to make sure that we leverage that network of over 4,500 institutions in 170 plus countries to make sure that there are partnerships across regions, across countries, across disciplines. That is our number one assignment. Our second assignment is to ensure that we together are preparing the next generation of leaders. And the next generation of leaders for every field and for the challenges that we are confronting as nation states. That's our second and critically important mandate as an organization and as an association. Our third goal as an association is to ensure that there's facilitation of mobility, not just of students, but of scholars and researchers as well. So public policy is a very big part of the work that we have to do to ensure that there's streamlined visa processing, to ensure that there's really robust mobility and reciprocity and mutual respect among partners when it comes to exchange as we move forward. My goal, again, like I said, is I wanted to just give you a few reflections, but more than anything else, part of the main reason I'm here is to listen, to understand, and to see what is the work that is currently taking place, and how can we together enhance the partnerships that are available to us to make this work much more meaningful, not just for this region, but for the rest of the world. And so with that, I'm going to stop and hear some of the reflections of the work that's taking place. Again, like I said, DUNIS set the example when it said, you know what, we have 2+2 programs. I have seen programs that have been 2+3 programs. I've seen short-term programs that have been created. I've seen branch campuses that have come up in lots of different ways. I've seen internship opportunities that have been created. And in this partnership, it has to be universities, governments, and we have to involve industry. We have to involve industry in the work that we're doing. In every country that we find ourselves, there's a very vibrant industrial sector. They too are telling us, we want to see graduates that are fit for the world where we're headed. And we find that workforce development is a critical component of the work that we're doing around intercultural competence, around the work that we're doing around exchange as well. So the involvement of industry is absolutely no longer nice to have. It is a critical component of how we think about international exchange and education in general. And so with that, I'm going to stop and really hear your reflections and your questions and your comments.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Fanta, for such a brilliant speech, inspiring questions, critical ones that we all need to reflect on. So the floor is open. As I said earlier, she wanted it to be a conversation. So any contributions, any questions, let's take the advantage of having Dr. Fanta AW with us to really reflect together and find solutions to these questions. So, first victim. Tu donnes. Donne à Aïcha. S'il te plaît. Merci. Oh, you can have the...
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here. I'm very honored to have the opportunity to engage with you, with the work that your association is doing, but also to have the honor of having some of the finest higher education institutions of Senegal in the room. You started with a very critical point. You started by mentioning some of the key challenges we are facing on the continent. You talked about climate change. You talked about migration. I could also name child protection. I could also mention gender issues. All of those issues are related to human capital. Now I have a question. I was looking at the wonderful program of DUNIS, and I'm also familiar with other institutions, and the educational offer that we have in higher education is mostly oriented towards economic development. There is nothing or not enough that is related to human capital. And this is what we critically need. Infrastructures are amazing. Economic development is amazing. But if you don't have the human capital that is able to make the most of this economic development, what's the point? So this is partly advocacy that I'm doing, because once again we have the finest higher education institutions in the room about how can we shift the paradigm when it comes to development. I'm an international development professional. There is maybe, I hope someone is going to correct me, but there is not one single international development program in Senegal, except the one that is provided by the Minnesota Development Studies and for American students. So we are contributing to the same paradigm of having American Western people doing international development in our countries. Now I have a question. Have you heard about what happened with the USAID crisis? Right before the USAID crisis, there was this whole debate about localization, right? How are we going to do localization if we don't have people who are able to implement those international development initiatives that are African? So how can your organization, your association, and all those fine institutions push for more professionals in Senegal who are going to be the thinkers, but also the technicians, the practitioners of international development in our continent? And we are happy to support because we are also professionals. Thank you so much.
No. Yeah, no, really, thank you for raising what is absolutely, I would say, a critical issue. And it's a real issue. It's very much a real issue. And we need several paradigm shifts in how we think about education writ large, right? It's no secret from, for me, until I went to the American system, I was educated in the French system. And there is no secret that there's a certain form of education that we privilege. And that has been, since the course of time, we've always privileged that, right? I still remember, when I was young, they would tell you if you went into science, then you could go and major in anything. But if you decided to major in humanities, then you would be limited in terms of choices and options. Our educational systems have been built with that in mind. But here's the problem. It's been built with that in mind, but it doesn't mean that it cannot and it should not change. Because we live at a time, particularly when we think about the time that we're in, this idea of a holistic education is more needed than ever. And the example that you've cited is a perfect example of that. For how long all of us in Africa have been very much wedded to the Western paradigm of international development, right? And we've seen what has been the cost and the benefit of it. But no one can make me believe that within our indigenous values and traditions, there has not been notions of international development that have existed for centuries and for decades. What is going to take to shift that paradigm are a couple of things. We've got to rethink what is privilege in terms of education, and we have got to get to a more interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary education. The engineers of today can only be better engineers if they know about humanities and if they know about social science. The physicists of today can only be a better physicist if it understands human behavior. It is incredibly important for us to understand the intersection of those disciplines. That is one of the things that I think we have an opportunity on how we rethink education and the curriculum. The second thing that I see is there is a diaspora. There's an African diaspora everywhere in the world. I've not been anywhere in the world where I've not encountered the African diaspora. We've got to figure out how we connect the bridges between here and there. And there has to be a mechanism to incentivize the African diaspora to be in partnership with Africans on the continent on how we can learn from each other and the ways in which we can pay that forward. I've seen that with every other major group. When I think about the United States, I think about Chinese who came to study in the US. And they've gone back, and the contributions that they've made have been tremendous. I think about the Indian diaspora. Silicon Valley was created in California with primarily Indian citizens and former international students who went back and built the Silicon Valley of Bangalore. I look in this room and there's the African diaspora right here. But that requires our government to privilege that, right? Because all too often what I see is there's a tendency to believe that external sort of sources are better educated, that they have the answers to it. And to me, I'm like, it has to be a partnership. If we don't leverage our intellectual capital, we are not going to be able to make the advances that we've talked about. And so to me, this is not an either or. We have to look at the end. And the end is, yes, let's work with our colleagues and our partners in the US, in China, in Japan and other places, but let's also privilege the intellectual capital that exists within our own countries and build those bridges with the diaspora that exists in every part of the world. I think those to me are the ways that we can really kind of make the progress that we're talking about. Bien. Merci. Non, merci beaucoup pour cette question. Il est évident qu'au niveau de l'éducation supérieure, la qualité compte pour beaucoup. C'est évident que ça compte pour beaucoup. Et pour la qualité, il faut aussi qu'il y ait un investissement. Et c'est un investissement énorme, hein, dans différents domaines, mais il faut qu'il y ait un investissement, et l'investissement n'est pas petit. Pour moi, d'après ce que j'ai vu dans différents pays, hein, je vois par exemple la Corée du Sud. C'est l'exemple souvent que je cite, la Corée du Sud. La Corée du Sud, au niveau économique, au niveau politique, et maintenant au niveau de l'éducation, a fait énormément d'efforts pour essayer d'améliorer la qualité de l'étude supérieure. Pour pouvoir améliorer la qualité de l'étude supérieure, il faut commencer par les enseignants. Parce que c'est les enseignants, finalement, hein, qui sont responsables du curriculum et tout ça. Et là, l'investissement dans les enseignants et la pédagogie, surtout la pédagogie aujourd'hui, compte pour beaucoup. Malheureusement, je pense que le problème qui se pose souvent, non seulement en Afrique, mais dans beaucoup de pays, les gouvernements ont tendance à investir dans tout ce qui est primaire et secondaire, et on s'avère à penser que l'étude supérieure, ça devrait être aux frais des étudiants, et que c'est bon à voir, mais ce n'est pas nécessaire. Or, le problème, c'est qu'aujourd'hui, l'étude supérieure compte pour beaucoup, beaucoup. Avec l'informatique, avec tout ce qui a changé dans le monde, il faut absolument qu'on investisse beaucoup plus. D'autre part, je pense que les partenariats peuvent aider pour essayer d'améliorer la qualité des programmes. Parce que les partenariats entre enseignants dans différents pays, non seulement ça permet d'avoir une certaine ouverture, mais ça permet de voir comment on peut, au niveau pédagogie, changer un peu le cursus et tout ça pour ce qui se passe. Et à mon avis, ça c'est un investissement qui est petit. Mais je pense que c'est profond. Et je pense les échanges comme par exemple les Fulbright Research Scholars et tout ça. Et je sais que par exemple le Japon a pas mal de programmes d'échange pour les enseignants et tout. Je pense que ça compte pour beaucoup. Donc il faut non seulement l'investissement au niveau du gouvernement, mais on ne peut pas attendre que nos gouvernements changent pour ça. Il faut que les universités même prennent le devant. Et en prenant le devant, il faut qu'on commence avec les enseignants. Et les administrateurs d'ailleurs. Parce que les échanges ne sont pas simplement avec les enseignants, mais avec les administrateurs. Parce que moi, je vois que souvent, quand les administrateurs s'investissent aussi, et quand ils ont cette ouverture, ils ont des partenariats, ça leur permet d'avoir des idées et d'innover plus ou moins de façon qui est quand même beaucoup plus dynamique. Et donc, je pense qu'il y a ça aussi qui compte pour beaucoup en ce qui concerne les programmes d'études qu'on a. On a du chemin à faire. Il n'y a pas de doute qu'il y a du chemin à faire. Mais comme je dis souvent, ce n'est pas le moment, hein, de perdre espoir. Parce qu'on voit qu'il y a quand même du progrès qui se fait.
DUNIS, even though I've been seeing it everywhere. So like, I do like the because they've been there without being prepared, but they can't come back because they're all ashamed of, being seen as failure. So I do think there must be a program that will teach this young generation. Okay, you have the opportunity, but your environment, people around you, the culture, the new people, the new, lifestyle, the open-mindedness must be lessons that you can actually, learn and bring back to your country. So, well, hope that, in the future, we will see great leaders coming from DUNIS and other institutions just like that. And thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Fatu. Give the mic to Sevin.
Thank you, Korka. This is so refreshing to hear these great speeches and hearing you, Dr. Au, talk about some of the challenges, but also the opportunities. I think it's very important. When I started working on study abroad here, it was first direct enrollment, but we realized that it wouldn't work. Well, there are some maybe differences in calendars, but it was more about quality, or perceived quality. You mentioned that we have so many beautiful stories to tell, and that's true, we do. But the thing is, sometimes we lack the humility to be introspective, look at ourselves and see what needs to be corrected and corrected. And I think that's one of the main problems. I'm glad to see that there are some people from the Ministry of Education, faculty from public universities here. But the change that needs to be made here is mostly driven by private universities. So what is it that can be done now for the efforts that are being made in terms of enhancing quality, which is done? This gentleman mentioned an action, which means that people are aware of what needs to be done, but it looks like the bridges are broken somewhere between seeing what needs to be done and doing it. So what I think is important, in my perspective, is to understand that if we have so many beautiful stories to tell, we need to also see how we can leverage our power and resources. When you look at the statistics, there are very few students from Africa who travel compared to students traveling from the US or from China or from other countries. That in itself tells us how important it is for them and not for us. The lack of financial resources does not explain everything, I think. So what my first suggestion is to see how the different actors in, say, international education locally can work to see how they can actually leverage that power and, say, do anything that they can do to ensure that reciprocity is not just something that people will hear about. The universities that send their students here, for instance, they send their students, they have an agenda, they have something that they want to do, and if you don't have that leveraging power, there's nothing you can do but absorb it. So that's one thing, seeing how we can work together. And second, see, I don't know, the current Ministry of Education, not higher education, is a product of, in Senegal, I mean, is a product of, say, worked in private institution. And I hope that he understands the states. But I think it is very, very important for people to know that it is not just enough to say we have this system, this curriculum, and so on and so forth. Young lady, lady, you work in the Ministry of Education. I hope that actually it is not just about seminars and so on and so forth. How you can work with your colleague Sally John from the University of Chicago, for instance, and see how the different ministries and people in academia can work to get inspiration from what is being done elsewhere. You know, so it is basically not a question, but it's just a releasing frustration that I've had over the years that I've worked in study abroad as a director, seeing that it's like being asked to follow and an agenda that is not necessarily yours. How you can do it to make sure and do this. Thank you for doing this job, because I think if you have quality programs that you're offering, people will come, and you will train students who have that excellence that is needed for them to integrate other universities and so on and so forth. And that's the price to pay. UCAD or Gaston Berger or other universities, it is important to understand that you cannot cheat with this, unfortunately. You know, so that's my very short, long contribution, but just to say how happy I am to be here in this space. Thank you.
Thank you, Celine. Thank you, everybody. I think we will let Fanta, if there's no last questions or contribution. Actually, we have 3, 4. Okay, let's hear from them.
Ok, on retourne en France. Ah non, ça sera un peu plus long cette fois-ci. Alors, dans nos programmes de study abroad et d'immersion, qui ont été créés dans les années 80 par M. Gary Engelberg, il y a un Américain qui s'est installé au Sénégal, qui est tombé amoureux du pays et qui a vraiment adopté la culture sénégalaise. Il avait fait un constat par rapport aux coopérants, donc aux Français, Américains qui venaient travailler au Sénégal. Il y avait un gros problème de compréhension entre les deux groupes et ça crée beaucoup de conflits et beaucoup de frustration. Donc il a conçu un programme où on enseignait le français, le wolof et d'autres langues nationales, mais à travers ces cours, on donnait aussi des éléments de culture du Sénégal, de sorte que les coopérants pouvaient comprendre pourquoi nous devions nous absenter pour la Tabaski, Korité, et autres. Mais en même temps aussi, pour d'abord le staff et la communauté dans laquelle ces coopérants étaient immergés, quelles étaient les valeurs de travail des étrangers. Peut-être une des, je vais taquiner un peu les frustrations de Samba, c'est notre relation avec le temps, le respect des délais, le timing et autres. Et tout ça, c'est des aspects en fait culturels pour nous. Et c'est naturel pour nous, mais pour l'étranger, c'est une source de frustration. Alors comment, deux questions maintenant, comment est-ce que dans le réseau NAFSA, les aspects culturels sont pris en compte ou en charge, pour que nous avons déjà une offre par rapport à ça, que nous pouvons placer dans ce réseau, ça c'est la première. Et la deuxième question, c'est maintenant l'inversion. Parce que souvent, nous essayons de faire comprendre notre culture aux autres. Mais nous aussi, nous devons nous positionner pour comprendre la culture des Américains et autres, de sorte que cette mobilité-là, cette ouverture d'esprit qu'on a évoquée tout à l'heure, qu'on puisse l'avoir dans les deux sens. Merci.
Non, une très bonne question, une question très importante. Parce que pour moi, l'insertion interculturelle, c'est absolument nécessaire dans tout ce qui est programme et éducation internationale. Parce qu'on vient tous avec nos cultures et tout ça, nos modes de vie et nos pensées qui sont souvent, ça vient de nos cultures. Il faut qu'il y ait d'abord un programme d'orientation des étudiants. Hein? Les programmes d'orientation des étudiants, c'est nécessaire et c'est une responsabilité que toute université devrait prendre comme une responsabilité très importante. Parce que la pire des choses qu'on puisse faire, c'est d'amener des gens dans nos universités et de les laisser comme ça, sans comprendre quels sont les éléments culturels, et non seulement quels sont les éléments culturels avec la culture dans laquelle ils vivent, mais les éléments culturels entre eux. Donc ça, c'est très important. Donc dans ce domaine-là, on a pas mal de publications, on a pas mal de séminaires, d'ateliers et tout ça, qui essaient de former tous les professionnels qui sont dans ce secteur-là. D'autre part, parmi nos membres, on a beaucoup de personnes qui ont les atouts en ce qui concerne tout ce qui est insertion interculturelle, notamment parmi les enseignants. Donc ça aussi, ça compte pour beaucoup. Et donc moi, ce que je dis souvent, si on veut s'impliquer dans l'éducation internationale, il faut absolument qu'on prenne la responsabilité de savoir de quoi il s'agit. Hein? Parce que sans ça, c'est un dégât. Et je vois souvent, je vois ce qui peut se passer quand on n'a pas ces éléments-là. Parce que j'ai toujours dit, c'est pas suffisant d'aller à l'extérieur. De la même façon, c'est pas suffisant de recevoir des étudiants. Parce que s'ils ils ne comprennent pas ça, ils vont quitter nos pays avec des idées qui sont pires que quand ils sont venus. Tu vois? Donc ça compte vraiment pour beaucoup. Et ça, pour moi, c'est la base. C'est vraiment la base. Et je pense que c'est très, très important qu'on prenne ça au sérieux. Parce que je vois, par exemple, des programmes qui se forment et tout, et que souvent, je leur pose des questions. C'est une très bonne idée. Mais où sont les programmes d'orientation? Hein? C'est important. Ouais. Donc, je pense que ça fait partie du programme. Je voulais revenir I wanted to come back to the question that came up earlier and to the study abroad question, because I want to close with these comments. It is like flying a plane. We cannot wait till we fully get there before we start telling the stories. And so I often say it's not an either or, it's an and. While we continue to build on quality that we feel is needed, there are already compelling stories to be told. And the most important part of it is it needs to be told from us, not be told by others on our behalf. So that's really, really important for all of us to continue to kind of think about that. That, I think, is one element. The other element that I wanted to bring up is it's the reality that as much as all of us believe and know that international education and mobility is extremely important, there will be the reality that the majority of our young people will never have the opportunity to experience that in the same way that we do. It does not mean that they should not be given a window into the world. And there are multiple ways that we allow a window into the world. Now with technology, we have collaborative online learning that's taking place with COIL. The idea that we can have students in one program be linked along with faculty to maybe 2 other programs in other parts of the world are now available to us because of the technology that was not available then. Also, not everyone will want to go and study abroad. They may want to go and intern abroad. They may want to be mentored abroad. That's why programs such as YES and others are vital programs, because the more we can expose our youth to what is out there, the better they are proud of their own culture and value other culture at the same time. We don't let go of our culture when we leave our country. I often say you find it even more so when you leave it, because you realize how critical it is a part of who you are and something you should be incredibly proud of in terms of your identity. So we have to figure out how we create greater access and opportunities for more and more students. We want to send as many as we can, but not everybody is going to have those opportunities. But they deserve the same form of quality education and international exposure that we can give them.
Thank you, Fanta.
So thank you so very much. Okay, congratulations, Dr. I'm really proud to be here as a faculty member, and I would like to appreciate the initiative. So the first thing is I would really love to see this kind of meeting being extended to all higher education institutes, universities, public national universities. I heard your intervention talking about how Asian universities have revolutionized the higher education. I totally agree with you. In 2011, I attended the Korean International Higher Education Summit when I was a doctoral candidate in South Korea. I was assisting the academic director of international affairs, and I was amazed when I saw him presenting something and titling his presentation, The Third World War. I told him, really? Are you going to tell us about the Third World War? About the international itself? Asians' philosophy of the Third World War is about education. How to get a better position and to align with international standards and everything. And automatically I remember the newspaper I read the same year about the world ranking universities. I saw over 500 universities, 94 universities were Asian universities. And I said, where is Africa? I found only 3 African universities were there. It was the University of Cape Town and Witwatersrand and American University of Chicago. And I said, seriously?
where are our universities? So I checked and I realized that the Francophone universities are doing well, but we're still struggling to align with international standards. It's not saying that we're not doing well, but I think we need to rethink the system, and we're doing that. We've been making tremendous efforts. The ANACSUP is doing a lot of, things. But you mentioned something, we need to go through transdisciplinary and interdisciplinary things, and I totally agree with you. That's the reason why I said it would be better to extend the kind of meetings to all the stakeholders. Try to, I see my colleagues from UCAD, UGB, why not all private and public institutions try to think of what you mentioned, public policy, to see what is studying abroad and, student mobility could do. I know that faculty mobility is a great thing, and it has been done through universities. But the biggest challenge is how, not because we are afraid or reluctant, but we want to be shown the way. We want to be shown the best practices, and we will be open to that. So I would love seeing this meeting being extended to all the stakeholders and have a big international symposium to take advantage of this. I really thank you and congratulate you once again. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Altan. We have a 10-second contribution here, and then Fanta will conclude.
Thank you. Well, I will just very shortly react to what Dr. Selimia said. I agree we need to bridge better what is happening in the education system, and I'm happy to see the lady who worked for YES program, because we are intervening in the YES program, in the CMU, so there are many programs happening as a ministry, but indeed we need to come together with what is, have a better bridge. And I'm happy to see Dr. Fanta, because I saw your the article when you congratulated kind of the ministry for introducing English as an elementary school. Yeah. So I think all these are avenues to explore, to better come together. And thank you very, very much for this insightful exchange.
No, last contribution.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Fanta, for the impressive speech and the insightful information given. Yes. So very short. I thought this question might also always be raised earlier, but I'm just asking if NASA is doing something to help, students in Africa have equal chances. When I say equal chances, it means I know international education is quite costly, and IELTS that we're doing is also quite costly. It's around 200,000 CFA, which is more than the average salary in Senegal. So what is NAFSA doing to make sure that every kid in Africa has equal chance to go abroad and have all those opportunities to explore? Thank you.
No, two very important questions. Yeah.
The last one. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. In my when introducing myself, I said that I'm here to hear about DUNIS perspective on international education. And I would just like to point out that actually education is political. And the major objective of education is to satisfy the needs of the local population, but also to forge a sort of identity. So to speak, the language of education is very important. I know that we all want to be international, to align with international standard. Because what I conceive to be international education is not the possibility that we have to do the same as other people, or to align with international standards. Those standards are defined by others. So then, the language education is very essential. So doing it that if we educate our African citizens in English or in French, will they be able to satisfy the need of the local population?
So, yeah.
And if we see that at the level of the African Union, there are initiatives to have an education system where so highly educated students all over Africa. So then, don't you think that we have to review or to redefine our perspective of international education that is not going to be a sort of education that is going to mimic, but to have an African-centered education or Senegalese-centered education that is going to be in dialogue with other forms of education.
No, so I think, let me answer that question and then finish up. No, so the point you're raising about education being political is absolutely correct. I'm a sociologist, and I'm a sociologist of political economy. So I know very much how much, from a social perspective, education and the politics of that works. I think what we have to change in terms of our paradigm is this idea that education today is primarily to satisfy the local needs. You cannot satisfy the local need without an understanding of the global dimensions and the interconnectedness of our world. There is not a single major issue today that we need to solve that does not cross borders. When we're talking about water security, when we're talking about climate change, when we're talking about agricultural growth and all of those, it is absolutely intertwined. The local and the global are absolutely intertwined. There is no country today that can think that it can just close its borders or think that it is literally an island unto itself without understanding its interconnectedness, whether it's regional, whether it's national, whether it's international. So that's the first part. The second is, international education does not mean that you replicate the same system that you see elsewhere. It means that you have an intercultural and an international orientation, and it doesn't mean that you have to decenter what is your values or what is important and is indigenous to where you are. But it means that you have to be able to function in a global economy. And our young people would be at a very big disadvantage if we do not educate them for that kind of work. That's my first comment about that. I want to go back to this comment about, in South Korea and the example that you cited. I think one of the things that we can do now, and then I'll answer the question about NASA and access. One of the things that we can all do, and one of the things that NASA